Hey everyone, it's Julianne Meyer, your host of Own Your Wellness, and I'm excited to be back. I love Thursdays, and this Thursday is no exception. I have a special guest, Megan Czuchra. I have adored this woman for years. I'm telling you, it takes for me to be impressed, but she has accomplished more, and she's younger than me. But Anyway, the point though is that she's accomplished quite a lot, more than most people do. And I just want to bring her up and have her introduce herself. Hey, Megan.
Hi, how are you?
So glad to have you here. I just want to mention that you're in England and it is midnight. So thank you for being here. And
My pleasure.
So, as you know, I just want to ask you straight off the bat to tell a little bit about your wellness journey and what you're up to, any little fun details just to get the audience to know who you are and what you're about.
Sure. First, I want to thank you for having me on. I'm so excited about what you're doing. And I'm even more excited because I feel like the first time that we connected is because we both have the similar purpose and passion for having other people live a happy, healthy life. So thank you for continuing to spread the word on this and everything with the mission of life, right? But yeah, so my name's Megan. I'm an exercise physiologist and I'm an American College of Sportsmen and exercise physiologist. But we all have kind of a story of our wellness of where, something happened with us where it's like the light bulb went off where maybe we wanted to change something. But ever since I was a little girl, I always wanted to help people. And the soonest memory that sticks out in my head was I would shave my grandfather's face. He was like almost 80 years old, and the great grandfather. And that's like the first thing I can ever remember of wanting to like help people. But as I went through school, kind of like, I just want to be a nurse. Long story short, nursing school didn't go well. So I was like, well, exercise science seems like a cool thing to do. And so I went through it thinking I'm going to like go to PA school, but I'm like, that's not going to happen. But so luckily I had the background in the training with exercise before I even knew that I wanted to be a exercise physiologist and a trainer, things like this. So it was actually really lucky. But when I realized the importance of fitness and being healthy was I got in a car accident and I hurt my back. And, I was kind of like stuck in my ways, like, I'm just hurt. This is how it's going to be. And I went through all of the traditional medicines of, I did spinal traction, physical therapy, and then I went and saw a spinal surgeon. The one thing that started helping me was starting to move and starting to stretch. And then from stretching, went to walking, went to running to lifting weights, and then having a full out, well-rounded program to, be healthy. And that's like, oh my gosh, this can work. I want to help other people do this too. That's that's the evolution of my health and wellness journey, really.
I love that. It's true. Every person has that like moment that clicks for them. That's like, you know what? This isn't working. I've got to find something else. I've never heard the story about your grandfather though. I love that. That's so touching to me. I don't know, just especially around holidays, it just kind of like, oh, but so speaking of exercise, what does your exercise routine look like? How do you stay healthy?
Well, it is I mean, if we're looking at staying healthy, obviously it's not just exercise. There's a lot of different things that go into it. I strength train 3 to 4 times a week. I do cardio 3 to 4 times a week, and then I incorporate yoga and stretching and breathing in there. So, it's just a matter of structuring all those things in to make sure that I'm taking care of every part of my body, not just one, and, being out of balance.
Oh, that is so important. And that's very unusual to hear from somebody like yourself, because typically anybody that works in, like as a trainer, for example, that's all they're focused on, that and protein. I love that about you. I always have. So real quick, I want to share the quick story is when Megan and I met because she was my trainer and I was trying to become a deputy sheriff. And I wanted to, because one of the requirements was to get 30 push-ups in a row in like 2 or 3 minutes or something like that. And be able to do it without stopping. And I was working out but I just couldn't seem to get already without stopping a little bit. And Megan used to me Wim Hof. And because of that, I did those breathing techniques. I was able to do one from 4 to 2, one time. So for anyone who doesn't think breathing is important, they're crazy. But I would love for you to share a little bit how you got onto that journey as well.
This is actually one of my favorite things. It was so serendipitous the way I found out about it, but I actually learned about the Wim Hof method from a documentary that my roommate had showed me. And at the time, I was practicing yoga very consistently and going to a shala. And I saw the documentary, and the next day, my yoga teacher was like, "We're gonna do this Wim Hof breathing." I'm like, "Oh my gosh, this is great!" But it's for those of you who aren't familiar with it, it's an over breathing technique where you pump your body full of oxygen, and then you do some breath holds. And the pumping your body up with oxygen and doing breath holds helps your body absorb oxygen better and process oxygen. Well, process carbon dioxide, which is our byproduct of what we exhale. And the better we are at processing it and absorb it, the more efficient our bodies work. So oxygen is how our bodies get energy. So if we're not getting enough oxygen, we're not going to have enough energy. So the oxygen ties in really well with strength training. And with those push-ups that you did, is because you're pumping the body up, you're getting a lot of oxygen. So now your body's able to do more work better, longer, and more efficiently.
Yeah, it works. And also it's the weirdest feeling when you're doing it. It's like super tingly and it's kind of fun, actually. It scared me the first couple times I tried it, but didn't you become certified or something along those lines as well in that?
Yes and no. So I did start, I went through 2/3 of the certification process, and all I had to do was do one whole 1-week retreat. But I bought my old business. I owned a gym for a couple of years, and I bought the business the same time that it was time for me to go on that retreat and get the last certification. I'm like, I got to focus on this, not, doing another breathing technique. But, I've still kept up with the physiology and learning all the info behind it, just because it's so fascinating. The human body is just so capable of so much. And it's just a matter of learning all the little tips and tricks that we can do to make it more efficient.
Yeah, it's true. And it doesn't take much to make a change. So speaking of like health and wellness, and this is one of my favorite questions to ask, is what are your non-negotiables for the day? Like, is it, obviously you do some sort of movement, but do you meditate? What else is in your day for wellness?
Mine would definitely be waking up and doing a small breathing technique. And I do one that's meant to calm you down, because I typically wake up and I'm like so excited, but then I sometimes get a little bit like, okay, what's next? But so like if I sit down and I breathe and then I write a little bit, that centers me for my day. So I know that that's the one thing that needs to get done no matter what, no matter if I don't get to exercise or anything like that. That's the one thing that needs done.
That's actually really smart. That's something I might consider a sort of the writing in the morning thing, because I know my mind tends to go, phew. Any little tips and tricks we can give the audience, I'm totally down for. So thank you for sharing that.
Yeah.
I want to sort of switch gears a little bit, and we'll get back to health and wellness in general. But there's something that I want you to talk about. Now, when I was sort of introducing you, I had mentioned that you've done a lot of things, especially for somebody as young as you are. And what I wanted to mention about is, one, you're in your second business. You live in a foreign country. I mean, those are just two freaking unbelievably awesome and cool things that most people don't even do in their whole entire lives. And you're not even 30. So it's like, how do you feel the fear and do it anyway? Or what motivates you to make these huge jumps and leaps of faith?
I'm really happy that you asked that question for a couple of reasons. When it comes to the fear part, honestly, I've been scared through every single part of it. There's not one where I've been like, this is fine. This is fine. No, I am nervous and I am scared all the time. I went to the park today to film a couple of videos for the new thing. And, there's some people looking at me and they were like, what are you doing? I'm like, what do you mean? I wanted to stop because people were staring at me, but I'm like, no, I have this mission. I want to do this. So I'm going to do it. I don't care if I'm scared. It's like, I'm going to grow way more doing something scared than if I would be more comfortable. And, even moving to England 2 months ago, I had the option because I was going to move back to Ohio with my mom. And I was like, and I was planning on coming here in February anyway, but I'm like, why don't I just go now? Like, what's the point? I'm going to go to my comfort zone. I'm going to go stay with my mom for a couple months. That's comfortable. But if I go jump over to a different country and try to start a new life, that is way out of my comfort zone. I'm going to learn a lot more, a lot faster. And I want to have those experiences and I want to learn and grow. And I realized, honestly, even just yesterday, that all of these things, when it comes to filming in the park with people or moving to a different country or, starting another business, it's like, I want to have as many experiences as I can and get out of whatever situation I put my in, because I honestly want to show other people that it's not that bad. And yes, it is scary. And yes, there's a lot of risk involved, but it's not as bad as we think. It never is as hard or as scary as we think. And
yes.
Yeah.
No, I love that. I'm so glad. And that I lived in Italy for a year. So, and I just upped and moved. It's like I was, going there for, I went to school, but that's, that's not why I went there. But, I learned it. I'm curious if this is the same for you, is it felt almost like I didn't have a safety net when I moved. I realized I actually did. I just see it because I didn't move away. I didn't move out of my comfort zone. So I wasn't aware that it even existed. Is that your experience?
So do you mean that you had a safety net in Italy or when you were at home?
Both. Like there was always somebody, like for example, I almost died when I lived in Italy. There was a carbon monoxide leak in my apartment and I didn't know, and all my friends, they were all, whatever, they'd already left, staying there. And so the only people I know spoke Italian. And I was still able to, one of the hardest times of my life, these people just came out of the woodwork when I needed it. And that's been my experience. And it's never the people I expect. I'm just curious if for you, even in these times where you technically don't necessarily have like your mom there, there's somebody that shows up.
Yeah. There's always, honestly, my motto in my brain is, I'll figure it out. It'll be okay. And I almost kind of telling myself these things, that being my own safety net of like, I know I'm going to get through it. I know that I have resources. I know that I have people that, not necessarily that I can fall back on, but that might, help give me some advice. Like, we all have at least one person that we can be like, and if maybe they can't help you, do you know somebody else that could help me do this X, Y, Z? So we're all connected, and there's more people that are willing to help other people than we think. And it's just a matter of us being a little bit vulnerable in asking for help.
Yeah, I read somewhere somebody said, I think it might have been Byron Katie, who said, if you're willing to ask enough people, you can have anything you want. And I thought that was pretty fabulous. And then Dave, he was always saying, it's like, who do you know? Okay, if you can help me with. And I just love that. It is. But, well, actually, it's not the more you do it.
It's true.
I just love that you keep going. And you're such, it's pretty impressive. What would you say your biggest challenge for 2020?
My biggest challenge for 2020, is that what you said?
Yeah.
That's a really good question. Oh my gosh, that's such a good question. 2020 just threw me so many curveballs that I could have never even expected. And honestly, just looking back at it, I'm so happy with all of it. And I know that's not the question that you're asking, but Oh gosh.
There's been a lot.
I know. I think that it would probably be taking care of myself, to be honest. And that's almost ironic being a health professional, but I just went 100 the whole entire year. And honestly, like right now I'm just coming down of it, but like making sure that I'm like taking care of myself and eating healthy and getting enough sleep. I think sleep was the biggest thing that I did, but honestly, it was hard, but I stayed motivated. I had a vision in mind, and that really pulled me through with working on projects late in the night, many of nights. But it's I mean, it's this has been one of my reflection things too, of what are our values and what are we important to and what are we focusing on of what's most important to us. So, every time that I kind of maybe started seeing myself slipping, I go, okay, well, what is important to me? My health is important to me. Why is it important to me? Okay, are my actions aligning with what I'm saying is important to me, and kind of checking in with myself every time like that.
That's beautiful. I'm just gonna leave that one there because I don't think I need to comment on that. That was perfect. But you are a trailblazer, and I happen to know that you're a writer as well. I'm just curious where you get your inspiration from, because you have done so much this year, and you're always ideas. And I'm just curious, maybe somebody else inspired by you and what you.
Honestly, it's I don't know if I'm cut out. I might be cut out. But I'll just keep talking. Okay, I'm cool. We're good. Mine, honestly, it's just a purpose-driven thing. I don't even know where that purpose has came from. I really think a lot of my writing, there's a lot of rhymes that come with divine. So I just accept what fuels me and what my heart tells me to do, and it's honestly as simple as that. It just comes out, and it's like I just want to show other people that the hard things are not that hard, and well, they are hard, and I'm never going to discredit them, but to just show that the path is accessible and there's always light at the end of the tunnel, and the growth that you go through all these hard things. And even just when it comes to exercise is a hard thing in itself, and like eating healthy is a hard thing itself, but the process that we go through and expanding ourselves in each and every challenge or hurdle that we're facing is what life is all about. And that's the fun part of it. Whether we are successful at it, whether we fail, we're always going to gain something from it, and we're always going to be a better person from it.
No, that's true. It's so true. And that's just inspirational too, because your perception is amazing. And a lot of people don't have that. They get stuck in the victim mode, and myself included. But you've been able to switch things so quickly for yourself. I'm curious what you do when you start thinking negative thoughts. How do you get out of those negative thoughts?
Well, first, I let myself have the negative thoughts. I let myself cry. I let myself have a cookie. I go for a walk. Maybe I won't exercise for a day. So I let myself process the emotions. But then it gets to a point, and maybe it's even a day, maybe it's a couple hours, but it's like, if I continue going down this road that I'm on, I'm not like, that's not going to get me anywhere. So it's just looking at it from a third eye perspective. Okay, this is how I feel, but let me look at all the variables around it. And this is why I feel the way I did. Okay, this is validated that I feel this way. So then I'm going to just keep moving forward. That's,
It's a good way to look at it too. A lot of people try and just stuff those feelings down because they don't feel good, but I like that you allow them to come out, but you don't camp there forever. You just work through it and keep moving. I love that.
Yeah. Well, and that's like the writing helped me so much with everything that I went through this year. Just like, some of them were dark and negative, but that was my way of expressing it. Just like it would be if somebody's, talking to a therapist, they just need to get something off of their chest, and then they can move forward from it.
Absolutely. So I'm in California, as you know, and we are in another lockdown. It's like, is this ever going to end? But you, because of COVID, had to pivot your business, your last business, so that people couldn't come into the gym. So what do you tell those people who are in COVID excuse not to exercise? What can they do?
Well, I would ask a question and say, is your health important to you? And what are you willing to do to be healthy? And, you have to get out of your comfort zone in order to do it. And nothing is the same. Like, nothing is the same. Nothing is ever going to be the same. But we have to look at different alternatives. Like, have you gone on a run? Have you found an online training program? They're out there, and almost every, business has pivoted to some kind of online training. But, especially if finding the right person that works for you, especially when you first of all, backing up one from there, having a coach is so important to keep you accountable to something, because if I didn't have a coach, I probably wouldn't be as far as I am with working on a business. I mean, that's really what it is. That's all it is. So finding somebody that you know will keep you accountable and help you stick to it is going to be the number one thing. And finding someone that you connect with is going to be the other most important thing. And then also committing to yourself to do it, because again, coming back to, what do you value? Why is your health important to you? And what are you willing to do?
Well, yeah, I mean, it is. It's also kind of like, I used to be the Stairmaster queen. Well, I can't use the stair stepper right now, so I went outside. I'm using the steps down the street instead. But if I just let myself stop because I wasn't allowing myself to think like, oh, I just can't do that anymore. It's like we have to keep thinking through the problem. Okay, it's just pivot. I hate that word now. It used to be one of my good words, but now it's like, oh, it's so overdone. But what about somebody who, is starting to get into it, or they want to start a workout routine? They realize now that they are, actually, you know what? Lauren has a question right here. And his question is, should he seek a male coach, or does it matter? That's a fantastic question. I want to make sure I ask.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter. Again, it's someone who you have a connection with, that that they have good credentials, they have a good background, but then that if you also connect with them and you want to work with them because and believe, it's I think it comes down to a connection thing. And seek out a male coach, interview them, find a female one, interview them, and see which one works best for you. So
the only thing I would say about hiring a coach is that I think I would want, personally, I'm not going to hire one that doesn't have a coach themselves. That's just me, because if you can't, how are you selling something that you don't believe in yourself? That's just my thing. But anyway, so what I was asking though, before I got distracted was, if somebody who's starting out or they want to start out a workout program, where should they start? What is the most important thing to do first? This is just an overall feel, not, everybody's different, everybody's different, but how could somebody start?
Well, three things come to my mind. Is one, just start. Just start moving, move the body, get the blood flow going. Two, if you were going to pick between doing cardio and resistance training, I would recommend starting with resistance training, because resistance training is going to help you build more muscle. The more muscle you have, the higher your metabolism is going to be. The higher metabolism, the more calories you're going to burn. The more calories you burn, the more fat you're going to burn. So it's a good foundation. And then third, if anybody's never done it before, in January 11th, I'm launching a intro to fitness and strength training for beginners. And the only piece of equipment that you need with it is a band. And I created that so it's very, it's a 3-week intro course. So it's designed for people who have never done it before or haven't strength trained in a long time. Might be a little bit intimidated to go into a gym, but most gyms are closed. But I've had a couple clients tell me that, like, hey, my friends want to join, but they don't want to join in on a Zoom class right away. So I wanted to create something that, one, didn't cost a lot of money to do up front. So a resistance band's $15, and And then the course is the 3 weeks and it's $99. And I didn't want to have people commit to like a month or people commit to like 3 months. So just to dip your toes in the water of strength training, because it's a great foundation for you to live a healthy life.
It is. And haven't you noticed that once you make one good, healthy decision, it makes it so much easier to make another and another? It's just like a snowball. It just keeps, going. What is it? An object in motion stays in motion, a law of physics.
Well, yeah. And what came to my mind when you said that is when we exercise, our bodies like intuitively want to eat healthier too. So
Yes.
It's exactly what you're saying. So if I'm sitting on the couch watching Netflix for hours, cool, chips and popcorn sound great. But if I'm moving around, exercising my body, getting a sweat on, like my body goes, no, you just did something great to me. Don't put that junk in there. Give me some broccoli and kale, man.
Amen to that. I know for me, that's totally true. Cause I'm like, I just worked out. I'm not going to ruin all that.
Yeah.
Last thing I want is like a candy bar. I love that. Something else that I used to do too, is because I lived like 20 minutes away from the gym, and every once in a while, I make a decision I was going to go work out. I didn't want to go. And I was like, okay, if I'm there for 5 minutes and I want to leave after 5 minutes, I can go. And every once in a while I did, but 99.999% of the time I stayed for longer than I ever would have intended in the first place. So sometimes it's you just got to kick your little own butt and go out there and do it, just move.
Yeah. And again, 2 more things come to mind. I love this analogy of like moving a giant ball. A giant cement ball. Like it's going to be hard to initially start to push that, but once it gets going, it's going. And then the other one that came to my mind was it's kind of like a little bird going off the cliff. Like you might be very uncomfortable. You're comfortable where you are, but you don't even know how much you're going to soar and how much you're going to fly until you take that little step off the cliff into a different world.
Oh, I love that. Well, on that note, we're going to go to commercial break, but that was fabulous. And we'll be right back. Okay. Oops. And I just cut her off. That was so rude. That's the second time today I've done that. Anyway, that is Megan. She'll be back after the commercial break. I am so excited to have her. She's just so positive and has such great energy. And I just love what she brings to the table. She's always moving forward, always going big, and always dreaming big. And there's like no in her mind. So she just impresses me, and I hope that you're enjoying it as well. But we do have to go to commercial break. We'll be right back. There's just something about that music gets me every time. I don't know. I guess I really enjoy my tunes. So before I forget, I want to say hello to everybody who's watching live. Always a pleasure. Helene, I know you're here. Lauren, thanks for joining. He actually taught me some really cool stuff the other day. Anyway, let's bring back Megan and continue our conversation. Hey, girl.
Hey.
So let's continue to talk a little bit about nutrition. That's my wheelhouse, but I know that it's also yours. So my thing is what would you say to someone who basically doesn't have any good health habits whatsoever? What would be something that they should first start with, do you think?
That's a really good question. Honestly, it's so subjective to say that. Like, I would want to know more about what they already do before I gave any suggestions, but truthfully, I like referring out when it comes to nutrition. Like, it's, when I was working as a trainer, like, sure, I was coaching that when it comes to like eating protein and vegetables, but to be honest, like, recently I've even changed my whole mindset about eating like that. And, a little background, like, I was teaching, eat 5 meals a day, 20 grams of protein at each meal. And what I've realized is that, yeah, that works. It worked for me, but now that, like, my lifestyle is a little bit different, I'm not lifting heavy. My whole workout program is a lot different. That same kind of eating style doesn't adapt to me. So truthfully, I've been doing my own research and trying to adapt new things myself.
Oh goodness, my ears. One of the hardest things for me was the 5 meals a day because my body just doesn't work like that. I'm more of a grazer. I like to, I'll eat cucumber here and maybe a couple pieces of celery there and, whatever. Handful of nuts, you name it. But one thing that I would say for anybody that's starting out is water. You're probably not drinking enough water.
Yeah.
And it actually does matter what kind of water you drink. So the better water you have, the better results you'll have, and with health and wellness. So what would be something that you'd say that you learned the hard way when it came to your own workout routine or how you exercise, that if you could keep somebody else from doing the same thing, you would?
Yeah, great questions, Julian. I would say keeping everything in, not overdoing it. I would tend to overdo it. And the biggest thing that I slacked on, which is one of the most important things, is stretching and foam rolling. It's like the most tedious thing to do, and it hurts. It doesn't feel good, and you're already kind of all jazzed off a workout, and the last thing you want to do is sit and reach for your toes for 10 minutes. But honestly, it makes a world of a difference in the way that you feel. Your aches and pains go away, joint pain, stiffness, all that goes away. Don't want to say guaranteed, but it will help greatly go away when our muscles are in their elongated position. So if I were to give anybody advice, don't skip that. Do that. It's going to make you healthier. It's going to make your body feel better. And the whole reason why we do exercise in the first place is to live. Most of us, especially as we get a little bit older, not the majority of the population is not working out to, get a six pack or, build a bunch of muscle. We're training to live a full life. We're training so that we can pick up our grandkids. We're training so that we can move a couch without help or reach something out of the top cupboard. That's why we exercise. So, if we don't stretch after, we do some rows or something like that, and then we reach to go up, we're going to hurt ourselves. So it's all related.
Some of my favorite clients that I've had, their biggest accomplishment, and it's a huge one, and that is that they could get up off the chair without having to use their arms. They could just get up and stand without that. And I'm talking people in their 80s. So, that's pretty awesome. I think that that's a good point, that most people, they think that like a personal trainer, for example, is for people who are doing things like trying to gain all this muscle or, run a marathon or whatever the case may be. But in reality, we're here to help.
Yeah.
So can you explain a little more about your business?
Yes. So my new business is called The World of Wellness. And, I decided to go with incorporating the world of wellness for a multitude of reasons. One, health isn't just exercise. There's more to weight loss than exercising, and there's more to exercise than, lifting weights. So health is nutrition, it's exercising, it's your mindset, it's breathing, recovery, stretching. It's all of these things combined, and that we have in harmony, or in not, I don't even want to use the word balance, but we have all these components together to live a healthy, fit life. And the other cool thing that I like with the world of wellness, especially being in England, as I go through creating all of these, is having it filmed in different spots so that people can live vicariously through travel too. So it's a little bit all encompassing, but the biggest thing is fitness isn't just exercise. And that's the one thing that I didn't love about just being a personal trainer, is that I was kind of like stuck in this is my expertise. But no, it's actually like, I am healthy, and I want to show you what health is. And yeah, I've had the most knowledge and the most, education and exercise specifically, but breathing is physiology as well. And then nutrition is physiology as well. Your mindset is neurophysiology. So it's all encompassing.
No, I love that, because it really is. And it's nice to see you using more of your talents and your gifts instead of just, I hate to say just being a trainer, because you weren't just a trainer anyway, but that's how we met. And I love that you are doing this now, because it's exciting, and you have so much to offer. And for anybody who's watching, I can attest to the fact that she genuinely wants to help people, and she'll meet you where you are and help you. So definitely, if you want, I'm going to make sure we put that again. This is how you reach out to men. And is this how they can do that? The class that you were just talking about?
Yeah. So with that link actually goes to, I have a free mini course around the 5 key elements to your fitness success. So it goes over mindset, a tiny bit about nutrition, strength training, I forget what I'm saying now. It goes over the 5 key elements. I got excited. But then after you go to that, then it'll link you to the wait list for the intro to program, the intro to strength training for beginners. It'll link you to that wait list that starts in January.
That is so exciting. Yay. Sorry, I just wanted to see, because there's a lot of comments going on. So I just wanted to make sure I didn't miss anything really, really, really important. So, part of wellness is also joy and happiness. Like, you need to have fun in your life. So what do you do to let out a little steam and just enjoy yourself?
Well, being out in nature is like the most healing thing ever for me. And if I'm not in a place, especially the lockdown that's happened, even if I just go outside and sit in the grass and get myself grounded, put my feet in some squishy mud, that is totally 100% what, just gets me recentered and happy and gets me moving forward. Spending time with my friends, even if it's just via FaceTime, that like kind of, especially if I'm, getting a little bit down in the dumps, I have a friend go, come on, girl. I'm like, all right. We all need a hype girl, right?
Yes, absolutely. So something I heard you say, and maybe I just want to make sure, is, a lot of people are taking the lockdown and the not being able to go out as, they're just staying at home and not really doing anything. And I'm hearing you say that that's not your experience. You are still connecting. You are still, it just doesn't look the same way. Is that correct? So what else? Yeah. Do you have like play dates on the Zoom or whatever, like wine I don't know, Fridays or something like that. I don't know.
No, honestly, I haven't done that. And it's what I have found. Well, I'm lucky to live with my boyfriend, but what I found is cooking with him is that brings me so much joy. And that's cooking is such an intimate thing to do with somebody, and especially like, giving somebody food is like, I think just like the biggest gesture of love, but also giving that to yourself too, like giving yourself food and putting that love and care into food and, eating and enjoying it is also, a great thing to do. But honestly, I have not done any Zoom like happy hours or anything. I usually just call my friends and be like, what's up?
Me either. I mean, not that I don't drink, but still same idea. I've got my water, so that's my happy juice. So, something that you said that I want to touch on is about feeding yourself. And, a lot of times people, especially people who are single, it's like, oh, I don't want to cook because it's just me. But haven't you noticed that, because you haven't been in a relationship your entire life. And I noticed for myself too, it's like I had to learn to date myself in a way so that like I was important enough to make dinner for. Why am I not important enough to make dinner for? If I'm willing to do it for some dude or like a friend why am I not important? So did you come to that realization as well, or?
Yes. And honestly, I really didn't until I moved to England. When I was in California, I was just so busy. And so I know that, I used Cali Fit meals for a while, and that they just bring food to your door. And, now thinking about it, I think that was a way for me telling myself that I love myself, because I'm like, all right, well, I don't have time to like fully prep all this food all the time. So I'm willing to invest in somebody to bring me food to my door that will nurture me. But half the reason why I wanted to move to England is because most of my clients are in California. So I wanted to have, the whole morning to focus on myself and start to do things like that for myself, like cook and like, I honestly, like I would wake up at 5:30, start working, would work until noon. From noon to 3, I had time to work on the business, work on myself, and then I'd be training again from 4 to 8. So I'm so happy to like be able to slow down. And one of the things that I've started doing is cooking for myself. And honestly, I'll make pancakes, but I never feel guilty about it, because it's like I am making it, I'm taking my time, and then I'm like, making it a whole thing to where it's like a treat for myself,
It's an experience.
Yes. Yes.
One of my favorite authors, Michael Pollan, and he wrote this book called Food Rules. And one of his things is you can have as much junk food as you want as long as you make it yourself. And that's always stuck with me. And that stopped me from doing a lot of things. But yeah, like, if I'm going to make myself those pancakes, I'm going to sit there and I'm going to enjoy it, because part of food is the experience as well. And I think that when you're just eating for like macro and micronutrients and it turns into more of a science project, you're missing so much of like enjoyment. So I know that you like chocolate, but is that your guilty pleasure, or what's something that you like to indulge in?
To be honest, definitely chocolate. Definitely, like I always have a bar of chocolate, and I definitely never ever feel guilty about having my guilty pleasure. Like honestly, like 2 squares of chocolate a day is not going to kill me. Like and that way I'm not depriving myself, and I'm enjoying it, and it's not just like, oh my gosh, I need a chocolate brownie, I'm going to eat as many as I can. No, it's like my treat to myself every day.
No, I love that. And, people tend to think that people who are in health and wellness, personal trainers, things, nutritionists, that we have these perfect lifestyles where we don't do, we don't eat treats. We work out every single day for like 5 hours and all this stuff, where that's not really necessarily the case. And I just love the idea of letting people know that if you plan a treat, why have any shame in it? I think the problem comes in is when you're just eating to eat.
Yeah.
Or like it's in front of you and you didn't plan it out, then it's just kind of like I don't know, at least for me, I get guilty. So do you ever have like cheat meals or anything like that?
Yes, and that's where my pancakes have come into play. Like,
eating. That's so funny.
and I mean, maybe like once a week I'll have pizza or something, but honestly, I don't even like junk food that much. I love pancakes, and I that's
Yeah, no, that's
it's,
awesome.
I know. Yeah, yeah.
So I know that with eating well, your taste buds start to change, and then all of a sudden things taste different, and those things that you used to like don't necessarily taste so good. What about for somebody who is starting their own exercise routine, who it's like tooth and nail trying to just get to do that workout? Would you say that for most people that there's a tipping point where it becomes easier, or what's something that you would tell a client that is having difficulty bringing themselves to the table?
I would say start small and do things to where you are successful and slowly work up from there, because the last thing that you ever want to do is jump into something where you are, falling behind, and you're doing burpees and jump squats, and you're like, "Oh my gosh, I've been sitting or haven't been doing anything or exercising my whole entire life. Like, this is the last thing I need to do." So doing small things. And I know, oh my gosh, I know how like scary and vulnerable it is that it's a self-conscious thing to start exercise, because you're moving your body. And if we're not used to moving our bodies, it's kind of like learning where, our limbs are again. And that can feel weird. That can feel really weird for a lot of people. So just starting really, really small and being successful, whether it's just on your couch, standing up from your couch 10 times and getting good at that. And then, okay, well, maybe I'm going to do it 15. Maybe I'll try some push-ups off the counter, and just slowly starting to do these things that where you get successful, and building on top of that, laying a good foundation and moving forward from there.
I love that, because I know before I knew anything about exercise, I wanted to go from 0 to 100, not even 0 to 60. It was like, okay, I'm going to work out for an hour every single day, and I would plan these stuff. And then, of course, I was bound to fail. And then, of course, the confidence goes down. So I love that you mentioned that you bring your confidence up, and it does get easier, at least. Well, the workout shouldn't get easier, because as your level goes up, it gets harder. I remember when I was working out, I thought they were supposed to get easier for some reason. I'm like, why is it still hard? I was now I understand, obviously, but at the time it didn't. I was like, why isn't this getting easier?
I think the coolest thing about when you start exercising, and I have a couple of clients who are, late 70s, early 80s, I'll have them do a balancing exercise, and it's a couple months later, they'll be like, "Oh my gosh, I could never do this a month ago." And and it's not like they're drastically changed, but that one thing of like, and balance is so important to a lot of people as we get older. And I mean, it's just balance is balance, but to watch yourself struggle with one thing, and then the next month later do it well and do it correctly, is so rewarding for me as a coach, but also them as a client. So then that would be again my suggestion of doing small things and working out to where you're successful at it, or like find a test of where like, okay, I can balance on my leg for 30 seconds, and my goal next month is going to be able to do it for 45. And that's a small thing, but that's going to start building you confidence. Okay, well, I can stand on my foot for 45 seconds. Well, maybe I can bend my knee a little bit and hinge forward, so just building these foundations for it.
Exactly. What do you think is something that keeps people from working with the coach? Like the fears associated with that?
Well, I think the first thing would be you're being vulnerable with somebody. You are exposing yourself and saying, "Hey, I have a weakness that I need help with. I don't have confidence and I need help with it." Or, and that's the biggest thing. What was the second question? Sorry.
No, that was it. That was the question.
Okay, yeah.
Why I'm asking is because a lot of people don't want to ask for help, and they don't really realize why that they have a resistance to it. So I was just curious, you run across as a coach
Got it.
It's like, or excuses, like an excuse I heard the other day, which I just thought was hilarious, was there's a lady that she is probably 30 to 40 pounds overweight, and she didn't want to continue doing workouts because she wasn't in shape, and she figured it would just be a waste of my time. So she's going to quit the one thing that was actually getting her towards her goals, as opposed to, yeah. So to me, it's just like our brain plays tricks on us. So I'm curious what you tend to see. So maybe we could help people see it in themselves. Yeah, that's what I was getting at.
Well, and then again, the other thing too is I think, and again, this is coming to finding a coach that you connect with, but I think it's important for people to know that a good teacher has gone through all of these things themselves. They've been vulnerable, so they know how it feels. So they're going to hold that space for you to, say like, hey, it's okay. Like, I'm not going to judge you for being 40 pounds overweight, or I'm not judging you because you can't do a squat properly. Like, I'm actually here to guide you through it so that you can become successful, so that you can have more strength, so that you have more body awareness, and so that you have more confidence, so you can live however you want to live and feel good about it.
I love that, because I know that people tend to think, well, I'm not as good as you, and so they don't want to work out with you. Or but that's why you're there to help. And it's like, it's not a judgment. It's you're coming with a helping hand and with a heart of service, as opposed to judgmental, and all that. And I think that people forget that part. So I just wanted to make sure that I mentioned that. We're about out of time, but I wanted to give you a couple of minutes just to either talk about anything that's important to you, or if there's any sort of tips or tricks or anything like that you'd love to leave with the audience. Definitely want to hear that.
Awesome. So I think the one thing that I want to offer is that any kind of movement is freedom in so many ways, shape, and form. So the more that we move our bodies, the more that we're able to do everything that we want in life. Again, like, we're able to pick up our kids, we're able to move couches, we're able to travel and do things with confidence. And when we can do that confidently, we don't have this negative emotion in our brain. So then we're mentally free and emotionally free, because we're physically free and we're not worried of like, oh, I can't do this. We don't have that second negative emotion. So movement, whatever way, shape, and form that you choose, whatever fits best for you, I'm so happy for you, because movement really gives you the freedom to live a full, happy, and healthy life. So that's my offer. So please just move. Or you guys can find me at theworldofwellness.center. My free mini course is on that link, and then you can also connect with me on Facebook.
I love that. Thank you, Megan.
Thank you.
Hold on one second. Sorry, I was just reading a comment, but I just, there's something that I love that you said that I just want to touch on before we wrap up. And that is that choose a movement. And a lot of people get stuck in like, this is what my friend's doing, but I don't like that. And they don't think about, well, there's other ways, or even taking the stairs as opposed to the elevator is movement, or gardening can be. Just ask Greg Drolet. You get your heart pumping with that. It's just to actually move. And like you said, the freedom, I think that is such an important thing that people don't really realize. So I just want to thank you, Megan, for being here today. It has been such a pleasure. It's so good to see you. You look so good. And it's been a pleasure, because I just adore you. And I just love that you're, making things happen and, living your best you and your best life. Real quick, I do actually have one question that I'm just dying to know the answer to. And this has nothing to do with health and wellness. What books are you reading right now?
Oh my gosh. Thank you for asking that question. I am reading, oh my gosh. What is it even called? It's something habits. It's something habits about women. No, it's specifically, oh my gosh. It's women. It's a women business book, and about the 12 habits that women have that kind of set them up for failure. So it's kind of like addressing all these habits. So that's the book I'm on, and it's, I read through them. I'm like, I don't have this. And I read that. I'm like, oh my gosh, I have this. So it's a really nice to awareness. I'm sorry that I don't know the name of it. I'll have to find it.
Well, you can put it in the chat afterwards so people can read it if you don't mind.
Absolutely.
I want to know too now.
Yeah, no, it's a great book. Great book. You can enjoy it.
Yeah, I'm sure I would. Well, Megan, thank you again. I really appreciate you being here today. And I just want to wish you a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
You too. Appreciate you, Julian. Thank you so much for having me on, and Happy New Year, Merry Christmas.
Awesome. Have a great night. So that is Megan, and she is fabulous, isn't she? Yeah, I just love her, and definitely check her out at worldofwellness.center. She's amazing, and she's just a wealth of knowledge. And she, like I said before, she has a heart of service. So you definitely want to at least get to know her. You can check her out on Facebook as well. But that is all the time that we have for today. So I just want to say thank you again for joining us, and we'll be back on Monday.